All right, sorry about that, everybody. I think we're back online. Hopefully, we can get some of those viewers back before we fire up this contest. Yep, I have no explanation for that other than my system completely froze up and was not doing anything, so I decided to just force a restart. All right, I'm going to keep the title slide up while I start the simulation, just in case we have any problems. At least people can see that we're back up and running and what the episode is. And if it happens again, we'll just do it in 2023. I've never run 2024 before and it crashed, so I just wonder if that might be the problem. I haven't had it crash during initial setup like that in 2023. But if it works, and we'll just keep going. Okay, it seems to have worked this time. So we are going to just start unemployed, but we will be in commissioner mode and cannot be fired. Because we're adding Danny Jansen to every team, we don't necessarily want to tie ourselves to one team. We'll just run all the major leagues. All right. So, actually, the first thing we need to do is not even in OTP. It's going to be in Baseball Reference. We need to find the version of Danny Jansen we want to bring in. So, let's look up Danny Jansen in Baseball Reference. I'll put that on the screen. All right, here's our man Danny Jansen. Now, I should also say how we're going to do this. And I hope for those of you who do want to do sims like this, have joined back in before I show this because it's a super easy way to do it. I've heard some people who have watched my streams and have now done it this way and are very happy with how quick and easy it is to do. So I want as many people as possible to see this. So here's an example of what we're going to build. Okay, this is the one for the recent stream I did where what we replaced the team in the major leagues with all versions or different years of Cole Hamels and Joey Votto. Joey Votto just recently announced he's retiring, and Cole Hamels just recently officially retired earlier this year. And so you can feed a text file like this into OOTP, and it'll bring all these players into the game. What also makes it super convenient is you can change this 3-letter designation at the end, and it'll it'll put your players into whatever team you designate. So with this one file, you can import. I actually don't know if there's a cap, so you can import as many players into the game as you want. You can designate where they go. If you don't give it a 3-letter designation, the player will just go into the free agent pool. So we're going to create a version of this. Now, what you need for this is a player ID and a year. So the player ID you can get from the URL in Baseball Reference. That's one of the reasons I prefer to look players up in Baseball Reference, because it's kind of a freebie. And it's up here. You can see it's JANSE, which is the first 5 letters of Jansen, and then DA, the first 2 letters of Danny, and the number's 01. So that's what we're going to enter in here. Right, is JANSE, DA01, and then a comma, and then let's figure out what year we want for his peak. This is the version of Danny Jansen every team is going to get. Okay. So usually one of the big clues as to for a peak season is MVP awards or even MVP votes. I think sometimes it's easy to forget how hard it is and how impressive it is to even just get votes for the MVP. It's usually a sign of a pretty outstanding season, but he doesn't have anything like that. So for batters, usually the next thing I go to then is OPS, and just double checking to make sure it's not like a small sample size season. So for this one, it looks like this 855 might be the best one. And we look and we see it's also his highest batting average. It's also his highest on base, less than 100 plate appearance first year he had in the majors. I don't even know if that actually qualifies for a rookie season. And then the slugging is also the highest. So I think this is a year we're going to grab. So every team is going to get a 2022 Danny Jansen, who in about half a season, right, 72 games, 248 plate appearances, had 10 doubles, 15 home runs, 44 RBI, 260 average, 855 OPS. OPS plus of 142. It's pretty good. And looks like he just played catcher and did some pinch hitting and DHing. All right. We'll also be interested to see like what kind of defensive rating he has. Oh, Uber noob. As someone that was best friends with Danny's brother growing up and babysat Danny, this stream makes me laugh. That's funny. That is awesome. Well, maybe word of this will get back to him, and maybe he'll actually watch the VOD to see what happens when he gets traded to every team in the majors. Yeah, so 2022 is the one we'll go with. So we'll just go into the notepad file here, and we have his player ID. We want the 2022 season, and we're just gonna. So there's 2 ways we can do this. We can copy and paste them over and over, and just change the 3-letter abbreviation at the end, or we can just use one 3-letter abbreviation, copy that 29 times, send all 30 copies of him to one team, and then from that one team, then send him to each other team. I think it'll actually be easiest to just um, do it in the file. I'm kind of torn. It could go either way, but we'll just do it in the file. What we do need to do though, I just realized, is let's go ahead and expand the roster sizes now, so that we can add him to every team. Now, the good thing is, and I don't know when this change happened, um, but you can now go over the 26-man limit on your rosters when you're importing players or creating players, and the game gives you time to move them around. Whereas in the past, if you were full, I think it automatically dumped them into your lowest rated minor league team, uh, or maybe like your DFA list. Um, but it wouldn't add them to the roster. Now, the downside of that is when it imports them into the roster and goes over, your um, your 40-man roster will fill up. But we're going to move them around. Hey, Max. Yeah, I don't do random drawings. We're going to do oh yeah, you know what? Maybe we should do that first. Let me if I didn't lose it when we crashed, let me see if let's finish up the entry form for the giveaway, and I'll post that so that y'all can start thinking about your answers, putting in your answers. And I've done the most tedious part, which was for the first question. Um, I want to have a list of all the major league teams. So I've done that already offline. Okay, so actually, it's today's experiment. I'm used to streaming at night, but this is today's experiment. In today's experiment, we'll add a peak data Jansen year to be determined. It's 2022, but I'm just going to leave this as to each 2024 Major League Baseball team. Rosters will be expanded to 27 players to accommodate the extra data Jansen. That's the change we're going to make in the game before we launch it. This might be important to your guesses. I personally don't think it will matter much, but just so you know, trades, injuries, suspensions, personalities, coaching, morale, development, and roster moves will be turned off. So basically, the 27-man rosters that the teams start with is what they're going to finish with. No one's going to get hurt. No one's going to get removed. No one's going to get suspended. They're just going to play through the season. One place where that might matter is there are certain teams that actually benefit quite a bit from not having their players injured. One is, as a Mets fan, I'll tell you the Mets benefit from this in 2023. I don't know how it'll play out in 2024. But in 2023, when we do our experiments or our sims with injuries off, which we don't always do, but usually we do, Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander don't get hurt. And so they're able to pitch through the whole season. Another team that benefits is the Texas Rangers. They don't get DeGrom doesn't get hurt, so he pitches the whole season. Notably, an ex-Met, so Met pitchers don't get injured, so that can change things quite a bit. So, I think some of the things to think about are, what's the team like that each Danny Jansen is joining, and so the first question is which, because it might have an impact, is which Major League Baseball team will have the peak Danny Jansen with the highest WAR. Now, that also means for the Blue Jays, who should have the Danny Jansen, the 2024 Danny Jansen, we're only going to look at the one we add, the 2022 Danny Jansen. Just in case it comes into play, we're only going to look at the ones the Danny Jansens that are imported. Okay, so that'll be the first question. It'll just be a multiple choice. You pick the team. Then I think the second question will be then we go to tiebreakers. The first tiebreaker, what will be the WAR of that of okay, this is where it's gonna get confusing. What will be the WAR? I want to say of that Danny Jansen, but then I don't know, is that clear? We just asked about what team has the Danny Jansen with the highest WAR. What will be the highest WAR of those Danny Jansens? And to clarify, I'll say, please answer with a number. Okay, so the first one is which team is going to have that best Danny Jansen? Then the tiebreaker is going to be what's the WAR of that Danny Jansen? And just in case, it's probably less an issue now that we lost a bunch of viewers because of my own unfortunate computer crashing. Then we'll have a couple more tiebreakers just in case. Um, what will be the highest batting average of the imported peak Danny Jamesons? And let's put minimum, I don't know, 200 plate appearances? Okay, that'll be tiebreaker number two. And then tiebreaker number three will be how many, what will be the greatest number of home runs hit by one of the imported peak Danny Jansen's. And you know what? I think batting average would be the best tiebreaker since it's a three decimal number. So we'll do home runs first. We'll do WAR, then home runs, then batting average. And then, as always, and this is a little trick I learned from EVC, there will be a fourth tiebreaker in case we're tied after all that. And that fourth tiebreaker will be whoever submitted their form first. Maybe I should make note of that. If guessers are still tied after the final tiebreaker, the earliest submission will be the winner. Okay. I think that's good. That's our form. Let me generate a link for that and I'll post it in the chat. Yeah, I'll say link for today's. Oh, you know what? I forgot to specify. I'm glad I didn't publish that link yet because we're going to change it. I'm going to specify 10 packs, 7 packs for first place. Three packs for second place. Okay. So that's a new. I didn't realize this. When you make a change, Google gives it a new URL, which kind of makes sense because it is a new form at that point. Guess what happens when every MLB team gets a Danny Jansen? Okay, so that's now in chat. And I will go ahead and pin that. All right. And what I'll do is I'll close it right before we start the sim. We have a little bit of work to do to get the sim up and running. Most notably, well, we have to turn off all the stuff we said we'd turn off, but the most important thing probably is that we have to increase the roster sizes to 27. So here's how we're going to do all that stuff. Most of it's going to be under game settings. So there's a lot of fun stuff you can do here in the game. Doesn't really matter for simulation, but we're going to turn scouting off. Now, what that does is it gives everyone now gets perfect scouting information. So whatever ratings you see are the true ratings. There's no more distortions from like inaccurate scouting reports and fallible scouts, things like that. What you see is actually they're reflective of their ratings. We're going to turn coaching off. These are all the things we said we would do in the contest room. We're actually going to turn corner goals off just because they're kind of annoying during a sim like this. They're not really necessary. Okay, we're turning off injuries. We're turning off suspensions. We're turning off personality. Now, these are all fun parts of the game. Oh, sorry, guys. I didn't turn on the form yet. Thank you, CK Royal, for letting me know that. Let me turn the form on. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's not letting me do it. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. You should be able to edit and submit forms now. So yeah, so you know, I'm turning these off just so we have a clean simulation. I actually think they're a lot of fun in the game when you're doing a longer save, like a season save or a multi-year franchise save. They just add more interesting things that you have to manage around. But for a single season save like this, I just want to make it really clean and simple, easy to understand. The rosters you have at the beginning of the season are what you're going to get, with the exception of Danny Jansen being added to every team. All right. Even though there's nothing in these, I usually click through them just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, now the last one, once we get rid of this spinning ball, this is where your files are saved and stuff. League settings actually opens up a whole new set of menus. You see this gray bar here? So there's in addition to all these um, menus below that it opens up a bunch of these. Essentially, they're like pull downs. They open other menus. So these are the more like overarching um, kind of functions. Like one, for example, is we can set all teams to be human controlled. We might do that. Well, yeah, I think we should turn them off because I don't want to say the teams trading with each other, and then each team might not end up with a Danny Jansen. He might get traded again. So I might put everyone under human control, which means essentially um, they won't make any roster moves. So let's do that right now. Now the managing will still happen, um, and it'll mostly be driven by whatever slider bars each team has in place. And we're not going to touch that. We're going to let the teams be what they were when they started the season. Okay, under rules, this is where we're going to give teams rules, give teams room for their extra Danny Jansen. So now instead of 26-man rosters, it's 27. Like you can see, it's super easy to do. In fact, you can go as high as 50 players. You can go as low as 15 players. Right? This is one of the many things you can customize in the base game. And it's very easy to access. It's very easy to change. And I just wanted to let people see how simple that was. Okay, and then there'll be roster expansion in September. I'm actually going to change that to 27. We're actually not going to. They're not going to expand, just to avoid any potential issues. One thing we've seen in the past is like if one of the settings is wrong, the AI then is free to add a player or add players at the roster expansion date. So we're just going to keep that from happening. We're also going to not enable trading. This should really help freeze the rosters. That's the main thing. The draft, we're going to turn that off, especially because it happens mid-season. Right, we basically don't want to have anything that's going to interfere with the sim. We're just going to run a full season. We will stop at the All-Star break just to see what's happening. It will be interesting if one of the Danny Jansens makes the All-Star game. In fact, in hindsight, that could have been a good question. Will a Danny Jansen make the All Star game? If so, from which team? But we already have the format, so we're not going to mess with that. Financials. Now, financials, I feel like are one of the more fun, interesting aspects of the game that you'll actually learn a ton about how Major League Baseball contracts and rosters work. Um, I know so much more about how rosters and contracts work now that I play OTP than before I started playing. Things like option years and arbitration years and options and um, um, Rule 5, right? All those things you'll learn as you play the base game. And a lot of that stuff is controlled on this screen. Okay, under options, the main thing I change here is oh wait, we're turning expansion off. This doesn't really matter because it's a single season sim, but we don't want pitchers to win the MVP award because they have the Cy Young award. That's just something I do because I want just to see what the AI thinks are the best seasons of that best player seasons of that year. But here's the one I like to change. This is the influence of popularity in the All Star vote. The default is high, and that's actually probably very realistic. In a lot of All Star voting, reputation means a lot, and that's why you'll see some players make the All Star game even though they're having a subpar season, and you'll see some players who, out of nowhere have a great first half. They might not get voted in, so they'll have to be chosen by the managers. So we're going to turn that to none. So theoretically, it's all based on how they're performing or how the AI thinks they're performing. Okay, this is where you can change some of the player settings and some of um, the modifiers for player creation, which we're not going to mess with today. We're going to make sure historical transactions are off. What that means is if someone was actually traded in real life, the AI would trade them at that time. So we don't want that to happen. We're not going to expand, so that's unchecked. If you're doing a multi-season sim in particular, I highly recommend you make sure these are unchecked. Retire players according to history and players miss seasons according to history. Well, it depends. If you're a simulator who wants hyper realistic simulations, then yes, you should check those. But if you're doing like a multi season save and you don't want that to be interrupted by things that happen in real life, I would uncheck those. Okay, I think we're good there. Stats and AI. Now, these multipliers, if you've watched my streams, we talk a ton about these. We're not going to touch these at all. And I probably should have put that in the form. We're just going to leave the modifiers as is. What those modifiers do is if you bring in too many, let's say, home run hitters or too many strikeout pitchers, the AI is programmed to use modifiers to make sure that the season totals end up close to or at the season totals that were in real life. And so that's why we have that saying, if you bring a bunch of, 1927 Babe Ruth together who hit 60 home runs each, they're not each going to hit 60 home runs. They're each going to hit about 20 home runs. And it's because of these modifiers. And there's a bunch of streams I have up in my VOD and on YouTube that show kind of what happens if you leave it as is. And there are good reasons you might want to leave it as is. If you want like fidelity to what happened in the real season, that's fine. Or what happens when you turn it off, which is basically letting the Babe Ruth be Babe Ruth. Smileyface Jane with a good question. Are all the catchers who are already in the league still staying on their teams? Yes, and that's why we expanded the roster sizes to 27. Initially, I was going to go in and delete every starting catcher on every team. Um, that would take a bunch of time. B, for some teams, it might not be clear which catcher should get removed. And then it'd be hard to kind of, make it fair on the form for people to guess. And so I thought it would just be easier, just add him to the teams, add an extra roster spot, everyone stays together. So that will affect, though, I think the war question in particular, because if he's not good enough to get enough at bats on a given team, his war could, be very high. So one of the things to think about is who are the catchers already in place, even if one of them is the other Danny Jansen. Think about, where is he going to get the most opportunities to produce some war? Oh, sorry, for those of you who might be new um, to advanced statistics in general, WAR is wins above replacement. So it's a measure of based on how that player played versus an average replacement player at that position. So it's position based. How many additional wins does that player contribute? Um, you can have negative WAR too if you're not playing very well. Okay, so we are going to let the modifiers be. We are going to let it auto calc. And that's important maybe to know. It is only 30 Danny Jansens, but as soon as you add new players, the AI is going to recalculate the modifiers. Now, because they're Danny Jansen, he's actually close to major league average. It probably won't have too much impact, but know that that's going to happen. We're not turning off modifiers like we usually do. Okay, other than that, we want to make a few changes to make sure our sim isn't interrupted because we're going to do a semi-speed sim. And I'm glad Fussmucker and Laptop talked about this because what I was going to do was just, which is what I do a lot of times, is just have the Blue Jays be a team of all Danny Jansens and the Red Sox be a team of all Danny Jansens and have them play against each other. But I don't know what that would. I, I mean, I guess what I would do is almost. Well, he wouldn't get a new rating, would he, in the game for the Red Sox? 'Cause it's still mid-season. So yeah, that actually wouldn't have told us much. So that would make no sense. So I'm actually glad Fussmucker and Lap talked about this because when they said, "Oh, what if he's on every team?" I was like, "Oh, that's the way to do it in this particular case." So that's how we're going to do it. Um, so yeah, so I said we'd go back into Notepad and Spore. Thank you for this subscription. I appreciate it. It still amazes me to this day when anyone subscribes to this channel. Because I started this as just a way to get VODs of my wacky base game experiments. So it's really cool to me when anyone subscribes, especially someone like Paul Sporer. Laptop Hound entry in. Thank you very much, Lap. Good luck to you. Where is that notepad file? We're gonna build this roster file. I want you to see how it's done because it's actually super easy. Um, in most cases, you're probably having other players, but yeah, you just make this file. I actually usually do it in a spreadsheet, and then copy those three columns and paste them into the Word file. Partly because like spreadsheets are easy to manipulate and move players around. Oh yeah, wait. Before we do this, I forgot. I have a big update to give. Let me give the update. So one of the things I've been doing is I created a save, which is I asked a bunch of our affiliates and some members of my late night stream community, who's your favorite major league player? And I didn't actually, and maybe this wasn't fair. I thought it was more fun this way. Um, oh, Lap, yeah, sorry. I thought I had typed it in before you raid over, but I might have gotten lost in the raid. Just franchise time machine would be great. Capital F, capital T, capital M. Here, I'll type it in so you can just copy and paste it. Lap is referring to the 5 packs I won right before he raided over into me. What a day! I get packs from a drawing on Lap's channel, and then he raids over with almost 300 people, who then I subsequently lose by my computer crashing. Um. Oh wait, did I leave a team off? Oh, you know what happened? I did. I was looking at the GT Sundown. I was looking at the 2003. I was using the 2003 team list. I was in a different sim, and I was like, oh, I'll just do it in the order people are used to seeing it in the base game. So yes, if you want to guess the Nationals, please guess um the Expos. That's a big miss. Sorry about that. I would go back and change it, but if I change it, it'll become a new form. So, yeah, sorry about that. I did not even think about that. That's funny. We've been so the reason we've been doing so much stuff in 2003, it's actually very topical, is for this streamer team save that I made. I was just doing it for fun. I thought it'd be a cool way to show people how to import players um, into the base game, which I do all the time. But in this case, I want to show them how you can assign them to the minor leagues. You can ask your AI to make minor league assignment decisions. You can watch them develop and move up and down through the minors. And we could see how options work, right? When players come up and then maybe you have to send someone down, you'll see how options work. And if you have to put them on waivers, you'll see how that works. Well, it turns out people were way more interested in this than I thought. So there's a bunch of affiliates and like some members from my late night stream community on the team. And the first update is these are the assignments that the AI gave. So there's two ways you can. We're on commercial. Let me pause for ads. Okay, we're back from ads. And so yeah, I greatly underestimated how much people would care about a fake baseball season simulated in a computer baseball game, but that has their name attached to their favorite player. So people were way more interested than I thought. I thought I was going to kind of run this, maybe once a week at 10 p.m. Pacific time, like on Saturdays and Sundays, which tend to be the slower nights because there's no one raiding in. We're not raiding into max, and it's just, just a handful of us hanging out at night. But yeah, like tons of interest, tons of people asking about like, how they can find out how their players are doing. So, so yeah, this is the first update. One of the cool things you can do is you can ask the AI to kind of like when you're in perfect team and you have a draft, you can ask the AI to set your lineups, right? And then you get an initial view of a lineup and then you can tweak it. Well, you can ask the AI to set your entire organization, like major league down through rookie short season A ball or rookie ball, sorry. And there's another option where you can just have it arrange your minor leagues, which is what we wanted because the presumption was no one's ready for the majors yet. Oh, everyone was imported as an 18-year-old. That's a big distinction too. Everyone's imported as an 18-year-old. So other than a couple players who made it to the majors as 19-year-olds, everyone's like very, far from being ready for the majors. So I just wanted to have everyone in the minors have the AI assign us to the right levels and kind of take it from there. And so this is I forced everyone to not be in the majors and then asked the AI, okay, put us in the right places. Um, a couple things that were interesting about this. When you import someone as an 18-year-old, for the most part, they don't have an actual, and I'll use card for lack of a better term, but they don't have a profile in the game yet. Those usually happen when they hit high minors or majors. In some cases, like independent league players and others players will have profiles in the game. And so they don't have potential numbers that are necessarily accurate. So a lot of these position players in particular have ratings of 1 for things like BABIP and stuff. And I don't know if they're actually going to develop the right way. So this is still kind of an experiment. Um, I'm also planning to post a bunch of questions in the forum as we go, both to kind of understand are there different ways we could have done this to it better, but also to let the developers know hey, when you bring people in who are younger than when they are when they have a card, the game's kind of breaking. I'm hoping it's broken now, but as they age into those years, that there will be a fix. Now, normally the fix is you can go into recalc mode, which is one of the settings in the game. And what that is every season, the computer recalculates what your rating should be based on what your stats were. Right. And so the example I was talking about is Brady Anderson. The season before his 50 home run season, he would have had a certain set of ratings. But then in the off season, going into that 50 home run season, the game's going to look at that season in the stats and say, oh, his power ratings need to be a lot higher because he hit 50 home runs in real life. And so the recalc is going to boost that power rating accordingly. Now, I have recalc off. And my understanding is when you do that is instead of looking season by season, the AI just looks at the peak potential, which is your best season that you're expected to get to, and just like calculates a path up to it and down from it. So the fun part of that is you don't necessarily know how they're going to do each season. One potential downside is I'm worried that we're going to see here, but we'll find out after maybe a couple seasons of sim, is if they start at ones because we kind of broke the game by asking them for profiles before they had actual cards in the game, can they recover if they don't have recalc? We'll see. It could be that all these players are never going to have major league hitting profiles because they came in initially broken. But I'm optimistic. And if it doesn't work, then we'll restart it with different settings and try to get it to work. But yeah, so you can see you may recognize some folks from streams that you watch or from chats of your favorite streamers. And then another update is we have a couple of new players to add. Like I said, the interest has been way more than I expected. Tsuiji was originally sharing Roy Halladay with Cavacom. So let's see, down here you can see, yeah, in the developmental league, Kawasuji Halladay. So Tsuiji said, well, if we're the only split player, um, he asked if he can have a different player. And so he will be Tsuiji Yamamoto. And I was just exchanging messages with Nicolino from OOTP, and I asked him if he wanted to join because he seemed interested in the idea. And I guess he's a Mets fan too. I grew up a Mets fan, so he'll be Nicolino right. So both of them, I'm going to do another stream on this tonight. I was going to do a different topic, but again, because there's been so much interest, I want to get the new players in. I want to get a few more sims in so we can see how we're doing in the minor leagues. I'm going to be simming that tonight. And there'll be 10 packs given away for um, questions based on that simulation too, guessing what's going to happen there. And the other updates are that our minor leaguers have started playing. So the short season leagues, which most of us are in, right? You can see here the B, C, and DE levels, or where most of the players are. They are short season leagues, so they won't start playing until June or July. But in the AA and AAA, they actually have already started playing. We're in April. We're in mid-April of the simulation now. So our AAA players, Max LP Hernandez, based on King Felix Hernandez's profile. He won his debut, 8 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 8 hits, no walks, and 13 strikeouts. And then EVC Valenzuela, built on Fernando Valenzuela's profile, got a no decision, but pitched well. 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 3 hits, 3 walks, and 7 strikeouts. And then AA debuts. We had Attica Ryan, built on Nolan Ryan's profile. He got a no decision. 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 3 hits, 3 walks, and 7 strikeouts. And maybe the roughest outing, but still got the no decision, didn't get tagged with a loss, was A.W. Casimir, built on Scott Casimir's profile. 4 innings pitched, 5 earned runs, 5 hits, 5 walks, and 4 strikeouts. So those are the only pitchers who have stats. My franchise Griffey Jr. I think is hitting over 2 games, hitting 250 with no extra base hits yet. So it's still pretty early. Um, yeah. So again, I thought this was gonna be a little side project, but it turns out like it's a thing most people are interested in. So we're gonna, maybe do a little more on this each week. All right, but going back to our special simulation today, recognizing Danny Jansen breaking, I don't know, is it considered a record? I guess it's a record, or Major League first, right? Playing for 2 teams in the same game, technically the same game. Let's get back to building this um, roster file. So the roster file, the last column in this comma delimited list is going to be the 3-letter abbreviation. I guess let me show you where you can find that. The easiest place I know to find a list of these abbreviations is, again, in game settings. There may be other places, but this is usually where I go. League settings, league structure. Right here, you can see all the 3-letter abbreviations. So I'm just gonna copy and paste this part here. We need 29 more of these. And if you're just now looking at the form, which is pinned to the top of the chat, um, I made a little mistake. I pulled the team names. GT Sundown noticed this for me, and I appreciate that. I took the team list from the 2003 the sim we're actually doing with the streamer team, and so there are no Washington Nationals. There's still Montreal Expos in that one. So if you guess Expos, you will get credit for the Nationals, basically. All right, so we're just going to copy this over and over. We need 30 of them. Let's just do, here, let's do 5, and then we'll do sets of 5. That'll be a little faster. 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Okay. And then what we need to do is assign each to a team. So I've got the base game up on my second screen. So I'm just going to type these in. I'm just going to go straight down the list. It starts with the AL East. So it'll be BAL, BOS, NYY. And I like to look at the list just because sometimes there are abbreviations that will, like Tampa Bay not being 3 letters, always throws me off. AW. I don't know why you guys have to do that, AW. CWS, DET. Again, KC. I think in other games I've seen KC as like KCR for the Royals, so it always throws me off that it's just KC, Minnesota, Houston. And again, with each of these lines, we're basically creating a new Danny Jansen that's going on to this particular team. So and the reason I do it this way is if you clone them in the game, which you can do, each clone goes into the free agent pool. So then we have to go find the clone, change its team assignment, and then, have to do that every single clone. So it's actually way faster to do it this way. SEA, TX. I mean, this might seem tedious, but this is nothing compared to like having to hunt for clones in the free agent pool, going into editor, going into their bio section, and having to change their team assignment. This is way better. Even Washington, sometimes, or I guess sometimes I think, oh, it's going to be WAS, but it's WSH. CHC for the Cubbies. Milwaukee gets a Danny Jansen. Pittsburgh gets a Danny Jansen. Everybody gets a Danny Jansen. St. Louis. Arizona, again, AZ. Colorado. LA Dodgers is LAD. San Diego. San Francisco. Okay, I think that's. Wait a second. Why don't I have enough? 15. I must have missed some teams somewhere. Let's see. Where did I go wrong? Uh, let's do the NL since I'm already on the NL screen. ATL, MIA, NYM, PHI, WSH, CHC. Oh, I somehow missed Cincinnati, CIN, Milwaukee, Pittsburgh, St. Louis, Arizona, Colorado, the Dodgers, San Diego, San Francisco. Yeah, I probably similarly missed someone in the AL. Oh yeah, Spy Fishing. Thank you, the Reds. Let me go back up to the top here. Baltimore, Boston, Yankees, Rays, Toronto, White Sox, Cleveland. For some reason, I skipped Cleveland. CLE. Okay, so now this file is done. It's a little out of order, but we have, and the order doesn't really matter. We have 30 lines, which ties with 30 teams. Now we just need to save it with something we can recognize when we're in the game so we can choose the right file. I'm going to save it as Danny Jansen Special. Okay, and just save it as a TXT file. You can build it in any program you want to use as long as you can save it as a TXT file. Sorry, Face Change said, I think the historical sims are different because the historical ID is different. Yes. Especially when franchises move. Like I know there are several Milwaukees. There's like ML, I think the current Milwaukee franchise is ML4. So yeah, there are some weird designations like that. I guess Smiley Face Jane says, I hate Ohio. Both teams I missed were from Ohio. It's true. That's funny. Both the second C team after the Chicago team. Oh yeah, that's another pattern. Huh. You guys are figuring out where my code is breaking down. Okay, so now this file is done. Now it might seem a little tedious, but when we actually do the import, you'll see how crazy efficient it is. Okay, so we've expanded the rosters, so now we can just import the players. And all player importing happens from the free agent screen. That's also where all player creation happens too. So we will go to the free agent screen. Oh yeah, okay. Since I'm not managing a specific team, it's not gonna let me do it, even though I assigned all teams to me. So just for the sake of um, I don't know, it's kind of semantics. It just needs me to be assigned to a team to go to the free agent pool for whatever reason. But I'm not going to argue with it. I'm just going to do it. So all we have to do is go to available jobs. Now, normally you have to apply for a job and get hired, but since we're in commissioner mode, whatever job we apply for, we're going to get. Yeah, so I face James absolutely right. That's why you see KCR because they're also the Kansas City Athletics. But in this, I noticed in this it was KC. I guess when you do a non-historic, because we're in whatever this is called, um, it doesn't matter. Oh yeah, CK Royal brings up a good point. Instead of assigning myself to one of these jobs, I could just go here and do acting as. That's another way to do it. Um, Here, manage. I can manage a team, right? Or I can act as. All right, so because I'm a Mets fan, let's just put myself as act as the Mets. All right, so now it should let me. Yeah, see, now it will let me go to the free agent screen. Thank you, CK Roll. That was a good idea. GT Sundown says Mets gross. Well, we can't agree on everything, GT Sundown. Okay, so here, just as an example, let's go to the Mets, right? I'll show you their roster, and we'll sort it by position. All right, and you see we have two catchers, Alvarez and Narvaez. Once we do the import, you'll see that we'll have, and oh look, our roster size is 27 because we expanded it. So let's go to the free agent screen. And for those of you who've seen me do this a million times, I do apologize for the repetition, but every time I hear from someone who says, I tried this because I saw you do it and I just followed what you did on the VOD, I'm like, it's worth redoing it every time if even one person might see it and try it out because I think it's so fun. So for you regulars, I do apologize, but it's for the greater good. Okay, import historical players. Now the database you choose is historical underscore database. I actually have a slide you can screenshot if you want that shows how I do this. Yeah. Once you so prepare your destination. That's in our case it was adding a 27th roster spot. Yeah, GT Sundown. All 30 teams will be running at least 3 catchers now. So factor that in your guess on the pack giveaway. Right. So preparing your destination means whatever it might be. Sometimes it's clearing out your roster and deleting everybody. In our case, it was adding an extra roster spot. Then again, go to free agent page, and then you saw me go to the actions pull down, and then import historical players. Historical underscore database ODB is the one you want to select. And then I'll show you right here. So screenshot that if you want. You can also, pull up the VOD and screenshot that. So once we select the database, you'll see the 2 options I kind of mentioned in that page. Now, up at the top, you can just enter in a player ID and a year. You can even pull up minor leaguers. You can pull minor leaguers using the text file too. But what you'll notice is missing is there's no 3-letter abbreviation to send the player to. That means when you use this method, it can only go into the free agent pool, which again comes with those other problems that I mentioned earlier. When you do a file, you can specify exactly where it goes. So I'm sorry, looking for Danny Jansen. Danny Jansen special. Okay. Base current rating on real stats, potential rating on peak seasons of career. Now for fielding ratings, I like to select imported season. I like to select entire career, especially if we're doing a sim like our streamer team save or like our father-son, all-time father-son team save for Father's Day. Because you want as much position flexibility on your roster as possible. If you're doing a save where you want to be like ultra realistic, then maybe you want to just use the imported season. Pitcher stamina, it won't matter in this case because we're not importing any pitchers, but I usually either use imported season or entire career. If it's like a single season sim, I definitely use single season. If it's more of a career, then I might consider using entire career. And then here, because Danny Jansen's peak season was still not a ton of plate appearances, I don't think we're in danger of hitting, but just in case, I'm going to lower these. What this is if you don't clear these thresholds for at-bats or innings, it will nerf your profile a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to hit import. Now keep in mind, this import, the cycle time, it's pretty much about the same whether you're importing one player using that part at the top or whether you're importing a list. That's another reason why the list is so convenient. Let's just hope we don't get another crash. I probably should have saved it before doing this, but okay. 30 players imported. That's usually my first check to make sure we got everybody. So 30 is a good sign. We imported 30 players and 30 players came through. Okay, Smiley Face saying thank you. He had 215 at-bats just over the original threshold. Okay, because I just pointed this out, let's do a save. Yeah, I can't believe I didn't save before, especially considering we just had a crash. While it's thinking, let me see how that form is coming. Yeah. Oh, good. We're getting responses. I also have 10 packs to give away every night. And given we start at 10 p.m. Pacific time, it's usually a pretty select crowd we have there. So it's probably some of the best drawing odds you'll ever have. So if you don't come for the content, you can always come for the the pack draw odds. And it's a pseudo random drawing. Like a lot of these actually know what's going to happen. Who happens to seem to know how to answer these things. Um, but at least it's like I like that it's rooted in the simulation we're doing. It seems more true to kind of the way we do things at night. Um, like don't get me wrong, I really like a good spin of the wheel or random drawing or bounty tournament or marble race. But this method feels more kind of consistent with how we do experiments and stuff in our stream. All right, so oh yeah, so it looks like the save is almost done. Yours should not take this long. I have a computer that gets a little overwhelmed during doing OBS and the base game at the same time. In fact, I usually push ads at this point, which I forgot to do because then at least we run ads while we're waiting, and then we don't have to get interrupted by ads during the sim. GG Suns down says if I could stay up late enough. Yeah, it's tough. I know there are a lot of people who would like to stay up for it, and it's just tough East Coast time. I stream when I can fit it in with my family obligations. I so it's enough that I'm pretty sure the kids will be in bed and everything, and I can stream. Smiley Face Jane asking, do I run all my streaming stuff in OOTP on the same computer? The answer to that is yes, because I didn't know there was another way to do it. So maybe that's an ignorant answer. I thought it had to be on the same computer. So yes, I'm running everything off the same laptop. And I had a few people, including Cheeky, who also streams late at night. Let's give Cheeky a shout out. I also need to give Max a shout out at some point. Um, he was trying to help me with my setup, and the first thing he was like, "Well, you should probably get more memory." And then as we're researching it, turns out my laptop doesn't have an additional slot for more memory, and the current memory is welded in, so I can't change it. I didn't even know that was a thing. So yeah, so my struggles may continue for a while, but yeah, welded memory I did not know was a thing. Okay, so the save is done. Let's go back to the Mets roster. Brent stays up late to watch my stream. Thank you for doing that, Brent. Appreciate it. Yeah, we have a crew of pretty regular folks. I really appreciate they're able to either because of geography or they're willing to stay up late or get up early. They hang out in our stream. So there he is, Danny Jansen. There's our Mets, Danny Jansen. Well, this is a pretty awesome rendering, actually. They got the rec specs and everything. That's pretty cool. Um, so the other thing I want to do for purposes of the contest is we want to be able to do a player search. And all right, so it's going to build the player list. I've been thinking about how to do this. I think the easiest way to do it is going to be okay. It's already. I think it's already. Oops. We're going to sort it by name. J is near the middle of the alphabet, so let's just go to 400. Oh, it's way too far. Let's try 350. Oh, see, Smiley Face Jane. Even though I've been playing this game for so long, someone always knows more than me. So thank you, Smiley Face Jane. So let's do a filter name Now that I'm doing this, my way was so dumb. Let's just do last name, Jansen. Oh man, now I feel so silly for the way I was going to do it. Okay, look at this. Beautiful. Look at all these Danny Jansens. Oh, there's a Kenley Jansen. I forgot about Kenley Jansen. Now, why is this one hurt? Oh, wait, this is the real this is the real Danny Jansen. Yeah, GT Sun, now why don't you whisper to me the one whisper me something in the one you want to keep? Yeah, this is the real Danny Jansen. He's the only one that's hurt. But here's something cool you can do, which is we're gonna highlight all of these and we're gonna shortlist them. I do this every time I do, like with the streamer team, everyone's on a short list. Because, why is my right leg? Okay, short list, default short list. Now you can make all kinds of short lists, but as soon as someone's shortlisted, they're in all caps, and then you can also access them through the short list. Now these two we're going to take off the short list. Remove from default short list. Okay, so now they're not in all caps. Now, when we go to our short list, right, we see all of our Danny Jansens all in one place. So then at the end of the season, we can just sort by WAR, make sure they have enough plate appearances, and we're done. Yeah, Toronto is out there with two Danny Jansens. It was inevitable that was going to happen. So anytime Toronto is playing someone, there will be three Danny Jansens. Maybe not on the field, but at the ballpark, which I think is kind of awesome. So, Uber Noob, not only is your friend's brother in the major leagues 31 times now, in any given game, there might be three of him at the ballpark at the same time. This is what happens in our Sims. Three Danny Jansens in the ballpark at one time might be one of the least weird things that happens in our Sims. But yeah, now this is great. So when we do our record keeping at the end of the sim, this is where we're going to look. Smiley face James, security guy, like, wait, I thought I let you in already. That is an amazing mental image. That's awesome. All right, let's see. Okay, I think we're ready to sim. Let's just say, okay, tell you what we'll do. Um, before I start the save, because you've seen some how long it can take sometimes. Since we're about to sim, I'm gonna roll ads for a few minutes. This is also your 3 minute warning for the 10 pack drawing entry. I'll roll ads for 3 minutes. That'll be your countdown. I'll go get some more water. I'm gonna take a bio break. The save will go. Hopefully, it won't take all 3 minutes. And then when we come back on stream, we will get ready to start the sim. I think that'll be a good way to do it. So if you haven't already, check the pinned link in the chat. That's the entry form for today's 10-pack giveaway. And there'll be another 10-pack giveaway tonight at 10 p.m. Pacific time. All right, it looks like we're back from ads, but we're not done with the save yet. So yeah, Brent, I can help you. Also, there are lots of VODs where you can probably find how I do it. Almost any sim where I'm doing like an import of players, whether it's the Father's Day, even the streamer team is all based on Major League Profile. And then we just edited the names and made a few little boosts to the profiles. All those show you how you can add players. Um, yeah, and a lot of these things I'm going to redo every time OOTP comes out because every time the game's going to change. Okay, our save is done. And I think we're ready to start. So let me go close the form off. Here's our standings. Let me let me clean up a few things in the form. I usually hide the first three columns, and then I'll show you what the responses look like. So I'm about to turn off the form. If anyone is working on the front form and just about to hit send, please let me know. I'm happy to hold off for a few seconds, but otherwise I'm going to close the form. So the downside of my computer crashing after the raid is we lost a big viewer audience. But the good thing is now everyone who's back is probably not a bot, hopefully at their keyboard. Some might be AFK, but at least they're probably real people, or at least alts of people who are here. So, all right, I'm going to close the form then. All right, I'm going to generate the spreadsheet, which I will show you all as soon as I sanitize some information. Oh yeah, and I need to delete one entry. Okay, I think we're good to go. All right, let me share the screen with you. So, Smiley Face Jane, I'm kind of curious now. Is there a way to stream where I'm running OBS on one computer and running OTP on a separate computer? Because that would be cool. I didn't know that was an option. Oh yeah, no, I do have dual monitors. Yes, yes, but I have one computer that's not quite up to snuff. Okay, so which Major League Baseball team will have the peak, and in this case it's 2022, the 2022 Danny Jansen with the highest WAR? And okay, surprisingly, but maybe not surprising, we have some repeat answers. I'm guessing the White Sox and Rockies folks are guessing that's where he'll get the most opportunities. That is an interesting approach. I like it. I like it. And I'm assuming some of these other teams are also, there's some assumption built in. Okay, I gotta say, I really like that someone did guess the Boston Red Sox, the team that he was actually traded to. That's a great answer. Okay, the WAR guesses range everywhere from 2 to 6.9. The home run totals range from 8 to 34. The batting averages range from 245 to 321, which with a short season, if he just clears that 200 plate appearance threshold, could be possible. Uh, and then what was this one? Oh, team with the highest regular season record in the NL. Okay, you know what? That's a question I forgot to delete, but that is a really good fourth tiebreaker because it's actually that's that actually might be a good final tiebreaker. And then we'll do the that's funny that I left that in. And then we'll do the entry submission time. But I think based on those other answers, there's no way we'll have a tie going into the fourth question. But I do like to go over these other answers just to see what people are thinking. The range on the home runs is really interesting too. 8 to 34. That's a big spread. Yeah, so we'll see. We're gonna put this away. You'll remember your own answer, I'm sure. But I like to kind of let the answers fade away a little bit from my mind as we do the sim. All right, so here we go. We're gonna fire it up. Now we're starting. Let's go to opening day. Now it'll have to do a little bit of thinking here too as it sets up the season. CK says 7 WAR. He's still Danny Jansen. I hope the real Danny Jansen somehow performs the best. Now that would be amazing because the form specifies we're not looking at that Danny Jansen, but it will be amazing if that one turns out to be the best. 30 chances at RNG kicking in. So, 7 WAR might not be likely for one Danny Jansen, but this is 30 Danny Jansens getting a swing at that WAR. Okay, so Smiley Face Jane makes a good point, which is the reverse of what I was just thinking. I was just thinking you're basically getting 30 lottery tickets. You have that many more chances that you might get a Danny Jansen that just goes off from small sample size. But Smiley Face Jane's point is interesting too, because WAR is wins above replacement. If you have a bunch of Danny Jansens affecting that replacement number, right, the WAR might change too. That's a really good point that I hadn't really thought about. All right, we're gonna do the first month, but we're already on the 20th, so it'll be a short sample size. And here's what we'll do: we'll run the sim. We're only going to see the standings. There's a very small chance that some of the Danny Jansens might show up on these leaderboards at the sides of the screen. We'll do a stat check at the All Star break. We'll kind of see where the Danny Jansens are. Then we won't look at it again until the end of the season. Now, initially, I was going to say everyone's getting the same player, so the results shouldn't change much. But that's actually not true. The teams that had good catchers won't get much benefit. The teams that had bad catchers will get a benefit. So you actually might see a change to the standings from what really happened. Most of these accomplishments are going to be ignorable. Well, look at this. The magic of the Danny Jansens results in the Mets being 3-0 atop the NL East. Very small sample size. And we'll just ignore the fact that the Red Sox are also 4-0. Wait, the Red Sox, who actually got Danny Jansen, they're 4-0. CK Rose says next experiment, Danny Jansen expansion team. That's more of the experiment I was thinking about. And maybe would have been fun. But when Fussmarker and Lap said every team gets a Danny Jansen, I was like, that's brilliant. Let's run with that. So all credit to them for helping me crystallize how to do a Danny Jansen experiment. I think this is the way to go. But an experiment all Danny Jansen team would be pretty fun too. That was more where my head was. All right, let's do another month. This will be the first full month, so we'll start to get a taste of what's going on here. Toronto 1-3. Danny Jansen and Danny Jansen arguing over playing time, leading to clubhouse tension. Now I have been thinking about how would we tell the two Toronto Danny Jansens apart, and the one that has history will be the original Danny Jansen because the new one was imported in from 2022. Okay. Normally, when you speed sim like this, there actually is some speed involved, but clearly my laptop's having a hard time today. Okay, here we go. Starting to pick up a little bit. It must have heard me. Do I have it set to save all human teams? Because if you're acting as manager, that could. Oh, you know what? That might be it. And also, I wonder if we should have set it back to AI control so that the new Danny Jansens get added to the lineups. Hold on, folks. We're going to do a stat check here. We're going to look at the short list. If the new Danny Jansens aren't getting enough at bats, it might be because it's still under human control, and I didn't have the bench coaches redo the lineup, so they may be ignoring the new Danny Jansen. So if that's the case, we're only 30 games in. I will restart the sim because it's not doing. And actually, I did not set it up the way I said I would. So or no, it's not statistics. I should have just gone to the short list. As soon as this finishes thinking, I'll go to the short list because Danny Jansen's not going to be on the leaderboards. Let's go to the short list. Not pitching stats. We want batting stats. Okay, yeah, I screwed up. They're not getting playing time because it's all still under human control, and we're not there to put him in the lineup. So we're gonna have to load the save game. That's my mistake, y'all. I apologize. Yeah, AI can AI, but this is more franchise time machine than a franchise time machine. Oh, you know what? This saved as new game 2 or 3. I just realized. Uh, Tom Tomato said he couldn't find the franchise time machine in the franchise time machine. Okay, I can apparently when I went to open the save game, it's opening it 30 games in. So it must have auto saved. And I don't think I backed this up. I think we might have to restart it because I didn't back it up. And the most recent save is yeah, I apologize. We're gonna start over. Because the Danny Jansons aren't getting any playing time because of the mess up. Tankmado, we're doing a stream in honor of um Danny Jansen making Major League history by playing on 2 different teams in the same game. Okay, now that I've shown everyone how to do the changes, I'm just going to fly through them. The main thing I forgot to do is I forgot to give the control back to the AI so that the AI can make the lineup changes. And I know that's what people base their guesses on, so we're going to start over. Which is fine. The other point of this stream is people learn from watching me do stuff. They also learn from watching me mess up. So that was a mess up. Now, one important thing about keeping the teams under human control during the setup is, especially if you end up having to send clones or imports to the free agent pool, is it prevents other teams from stealing your clones or imported players before you can assign them to the places. We noticed that when we did like the Barry versus Jose Lima save. Our Barry Bonds is okay, this audio cutting out thing tends to happen when OT is thinking pretty hard. So it's thinking hard right now because it's setting up a new season. It should come back on. So I'm going to keep talking just to see if it keeps cutting out. But I may have to try to restart OTP before it crashes my whole system again. Okay, I'm going to do Task Manager and try to shut down just OTP, and hopefully it doesn't shut down the whole thing. Okay. Can anyone hear me? And is also the stream looks like it's still up, but is it still up? Is anyone still in chat? Because here's what I might do. I'm past the time I was supposed to be in this slot, subbing for Dr. Dynastic. So if y'all can hear me, okay, good. Thank you, Takmito. I might rate us all on over to I think PBE is up next on the schedule. Um I might raid y'all on over. I'm gonna stay on though and do this sim. If you win the 7 or 3 packs, you'll still get your packs. But that way I can still do it on stream so people can see who won. Oh, we're oh no, it's uh Commish, FK and Commish LB is next on schedule. So we'll raid into Commish and I will finish the sim on stream. But I want to make sure I don't lose this raid chain. So we're gonna raid on over to FK and Commish. And then I will continue doing the sim here. So enjoy some EMLB. And if you want to come back and hang out and check this out, please feel free to do so. And again, I'll be on again 10 p.m. tonight too, 10 p.m. Pacific. Okay, looks like the raid's working. And then I'm just gonna stay here and keep keep streaming. Hi y'all, I'm back. I'm gonna try to finish this sim here. New standard game. All right, Danny Jansen's V3. Man, I'm bummed out because we were so close to having it done, and then it turns out I didn't change the AI settings. Rookie mistake on my part. I have the forms in though, so I can still work the sim. So it'll be like who questions the result of the pack giveaways. They'll be on the stream. We'll have our receipts. In the worst case scenario, if things keep bogging down, I will just reboot. Now that we don't have the raid chain to preserve, I feel less pressure to keep going with the current setup, the current stream. If we have to lose it, then it's just me losing it. It's not all back to me tonight. So it's a bunch of views up. We got to have enough viewers to raid into Sensei Martian or Ophi. But yeah, if we crash again, I'm just going to restart again. So if you're interested in watching, just wait for me to pop back up and we'll do it again. Feels like there's a while there when Cheeky had a router that kept cutting out like clockwork. I think it was like 2 hours and 4 minutes. And we all be like, okay, here it comes. We're just going to hop back on when he comes back on. Man, I don't feel like it should be taking this long. I mean, I know it shouldn't be taking this long. This has got me worried that I'm going to have to reboot again. I mean, if I'm going to do it, I kind of feel like I should do it while we still only have a handful of people on the stream. I mean, I'm not a computer expert, right? It does fascinate me, like why restarting it just suddenly helps it. Like, I mean, conceptually, I get that it's like kind of clearing the decks and starting over, but from a computer standpoint, I didn't realize there were decks to be cleared. It's not like there are physical tubes that get full of ones and zeros that get clogged up. So I wish I understood better the computing behind it. Why a restart helps so much. I do all the help with distorted voice when it's like cuts out. I start to sound like a transformer, like Optimus Prime or Megatron. And if worst comes to worst, I will do the sim offline and I will show the results and announce the winners at 10 p.m. tonight. Of course, that I can start tonight. I don't know if like this seems to be like a new phenomenon that hasn't happened before. I wonder. I've never done the 2004 sim. I've always done historic sim. So I wonder if there's something about that that just eats up more memory or computing power than a 2003 sim. All right, now I'm getting a not responding. So let's. I'm gonna reboot y'all. Man, I need a better computer to do this.